Shalom everyone, this is Avraham Shira from the quaint small little town called Kiryat Malachi in the Holy Land. We're here, you can see behind me some beautiful eucalyptus trees. We're here at a place called the Atar Tzadikim, the place of the Tzadikim, which is a graveyard. And in the graveyard is purported to be, behind this gate, in that building right to my left, a memorial and the new burial place of Rabbi Chaim Vital, the great kabbalist from the 16th century who was the main student who wrote down all the teachings and the history of the Arizal. As you can see behind me, there is a industrial workyard on one side, and on the other side of the building there's a big vast graveyard. Rabbi Chaim was buried in Damascus in about 40-50 years after his master passed away. He was buried with the book Eitz Chaim with him in the grave. A few of his greatest students ended up retrieving that book, and that became really the father book of all Kabbalah. Now, as we walk in here, how did Rabbi Chaim come from Damascus all the way here to the little town of Kiryat Malachi? Well, it's a story that I'm using as an introduction to this idea of this little talk, this little vlog as they call them, I guess, to believe or not to believe. I've been coming to this place for about 20 years, and as a very newly religious person and a person who wants to believe in the innocence and the truth of things, we were told that Rabbi Chaim was brought from Damascus and buried here, which is quite an exercise when you think about the relationship between Israel and Syria for the last 50 years. But apparently a distinguished family of rabbis went to Damascus, I should say, and paid off the right officials to enable Rabbi Chaim's remains to be brought from Syria and buried here, under the condition that no name of the rabbi was posted on the site. So I'm just walking around the building, give you a look of things, and it's a place that we've come in the middle of the night many times to pray. There's been many different groups that come here, and it was interesting though that as I first started coming here, people said, "Oh, he's not really buried there." Now, very religious people said that to me. And it kind of broke my heart a little bit. I said, what are you telling me? It's a big fake out? Am I supposed to believe this or not? And for a new initiate, if you will, into the world of Torah and Kabbalah, it kind of hurts a little bit to think that these rabbis are lying about these rabbis, or that these rabbis have political connections that the other ones don't have, that they have the power to bring a rabbi out of Damascus from a graveyard in the middle of the night and somehow hurry him off to the airport and get him to Eretz Yisrael. Doesn't sound like an impossible mission. But really, that's not the point here of what I want to talk about. What we want to talk about is the idea of faith itself. Because the nature of faith is that in the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachman's Perush on the Torah, he tells us that faith is a davar mamashi. That means in Hebrew, that means a physical thing. Faith is something you can feel. It is a real energy field that emanates from your mind. The Ramban brings it in the context of Moshe Rabbeinu raising his hands and during the war with Amalek, and that those hands had the power of faith. that your body, your mind, your heart, your eyes, your feet, all of you emanates what you believe. Now, the eyes and the hands and the mouth are the three main portals of faith, where the energy most powerfully shines. Okay, so when you talk about faith, you're talking about something real. It's not an idea that drives your mind. It is an idea, but it becomes a force. So, in the context of coming here to visit the Zion of Rabbi Chaim Vital, I asked myself 20 years later, well, is it true? Is it not true? It depends on who you talk to. Some people will swear that it's true, that Rabbi Chaim, his remains are here, and we believe in the power of the tzaddikim, that their soul resides, part of their soul resides here with their bodies and their skeletons, and part is, of course, in a higher realm. And we believe that that makes a spiritual entry port, if you will, to the upper realm. So that's why we go to all the Kiryat tzaddikim. But so we have to ask ourselves, well, what if it was a fake out and he's really not here? Well, then what do? Walk away, feel bad, feel cheated, feel deceived? No. You know what I believe? I believe that all the Jews coming here to pray made it a holy place. And that we're not Rabbi Chaim Vital, and if we only knew what a great tzaddik and kabbalist he was, we would understand a little bit more. But this was a man who, in his diaries, and I highly recommend reading his diaries if you have access to them in Hebrew. I don't know if they've been published in English yet, but they should be. Because he when he was 21 years old, before he met the Arizal, his master, he was already known as a kabbalist, as a genius, at the age of 21. And there's a story that in a synagogue in the old city in Jerusalem, an Arab worker came outside one afternoon and saw him and said, "I know who you are. You were here last night. You were flying above the synagogue." Now he's writing about himself in the third person. And he tells you, yes, this Arab worker told me that I was flying above the synagogue. Now, either the Arab was hallucinating, or Rabbi Chaim's telling us about his spiritual prowess to be able to elevate himself with divine names and with certain incantations that are known in the Kabbalah. Flying is not a big deal. Flying is not really, it sounds like a big deal, right? If you could fly, you might be able to change your neighborhood, right? People might, they might show up for a blessing the next day. But the point is, what do we do after you fly? The Baal Shem Tov crossed a river on a belt using a divine name. And afterwards he said he regretted it his entire life. And then one time he was being chased by thieves and he needed to cross a river, and he did it without using a name. And he understood that faith is more powerful than the name itself. Now, we don't prefer not to be chased by thieves than need to cross a river. But the point is that our faith is a powerful thing that we don't even understand. We don't understand how what we believe actually transforms our bodies, our hearts, and our thinking. And that faith creates a focus, a real laser style focus of energy on whatever we believe in. So, do you believe Rabbi Chaim Vital is buried here? I like to believe that he is. I'd like to believe that the family of rabbis that brought him here didn't do it for some show, right? I'd like to believe that the people that deny and say it's not true, I just believe that they have a problem, that, they're jealous or they have, some other issue. Okay, that's fine. People are people. But what's important is really what we walk away with an event. The rabbis teach that all the miracles that were done in Egypt did not make all the Jews perfect. And they said when Haman took his ring, the Gemara says that when Haman took his ring off his hand, the ring from Achashverosh, You know, the sign that the king was giving Haman the power over the Jews, that did more than 48 prophets could to bring the Jewish people back to God. Okay, so, you know, we have to really have perspective, proportion when we talk about things like Kabbalah, divine names, white magic, black magic, all these concepts. Because really, every person has the power to attach himself to God, and every person has the power to believe. And it's really what you put into your belief system, the idea itself that you program into your heart, that becomes the force field of your life. That becomes the beam that drives you. And you know, you could see people, if you just pay attention, what they believe in by what they talk about, what they get excited about. Some people, they just get real excited about money. Talk about something else, they're not that excited. Some people, you talk about God, they get real excited. Talk about something else, they're not excited. You know, it depends. Every person has their belief system and their priority. So the real question is what we believe. Now, I choose to believe that people are good. I believe that humanity is good. I believe that the majority of people on this planet are good. Do we have evil? Everyone does. Does the evil overpower us sometimes? Absolutely. History proves that. But, you know, as individuals, as nations, we're being challenged right now, our belief systems. Because you hear news, you don't know what to believe anymore. You hear stories online and on different news sites, you don't know really who's telling the truth. So what I believe is happening is that all that news and the cord that's created by the different opinions of things, it's all designed for one thing, to simplify our belief system. That I don't need to worry about whether CNBC is honest or CNN is honest or this conspiracy theorist is honest. I don't need to worry about that. That's not what I need to believe in. What I need to go back to the beginning of belief, to go to the root, the heart, the core of belief. In the real God, in the one God, that is God of all creation, all religions, all people, all matter, all reality. When I go back there, I'm okay, you know, and people can believe what they want to believe. And hopefully, you know, we know that one day everybody's going to see. And the way the Kabbalah describes the Messianic vision is not some magical Disney movie. It's when all the negativity is removed, everybody sees exactly who we are and the truth. The truth of their own soul, their divine soul, and the truth of everybody else. It says, the rabbis say that in the Talmud, every person will be burnt by the chuppah, which is your halo of his friend. In other words, you're carrying a spiritual halo that you don't see it right now, maybe. But when you do see it, you'll know exactly who's true and who's not. And that halo that we carry is our belief system. So all we have to do is simplify our belief system, go back to the source, go back to the Makor, and create and get rid of all this static, all this contradictory information that doesn't leave us stable or feeling good about anything. Because the nature of evil is to simply erase our belief system. Because when a person doesn't believe in something, he becomes very unstable, very influenceable, right? A person who doesn't have a belief system, he can go any which way. And that's really a dangerous position to be in. And so we, as the Jewish people, have a belief system. And it's very simple, really. Now, it gets very complicated down the road, right? But when people tell you different things, and you read different sources of different information, you really don't know what to believe. But we always know what to believe. We go back to the beginning. And I also go to the place of, you know what, I don't know, and that's okay. I don't need to know. Is Rabbi Chaim really buried here? Maybe. I hope he is. I hope the people are honest. But even if he's not, you know what? It's still a holy place, and people have brought their power here and sanctified it through their own prayers. And that's really supposed to be our whole lives. Your house is a sanctified place. Your business, your synagogue, your place of worship, and the tree that you go to under the forest. You know, and be alone with God, that's also a sanctified place. And that's Rabbi Nachman's main advice. Get out there, get away from all the noise. So we're in Chol HaMoed now. It's the festival, Passover, 7 days. It's like a godly sanctioned vacation, you know. You don't need to get the vacation from your boss, because he's got to listen too. And here in Israel, people honor the 7 days of Passover as a vacation. And we take off when we go out. We take our families to the forest, to the holy places, to make picnics, to go swimming, whatever it might be. So God bless you all to really feel the spirit of freedom of Passover, the freedom from all the false belief systems, to grab onto the one thing, and then you're strong and you're real and you're solid. And when you build from there, then you know, you have a way to measure. Wait a minute, how does this jive? How does this fit with my belief in the goodness and the mercy and the truth of the one God? And from there we build outward, and from there we spread that force field into the world. And that's the real power of change. So we'll be continuing our daily class of Rabbi Nachman on Patreon, and we'll be also on all the other platforms with all kinds of stuff coming out, poems and interviews and all kinds of stuff that the media makes available. You know, so it's a miraculous time that we live in, and if we don't choose to see the miracle, well, guess what? We don't see. And when we choose to see it, then your eyes really get opened. So God bless you all. Have a happy Passover the whole week, and we'll see you again. All the best. Well, as you can see, I am inside now of the Tzion of Rabbi Chaim Vital in Kiryat Malachi. And it's really never opened, except I imagine when somebody has an idea or there's an event. But the community of people did open the doors just now, so we got to come inside and get a look at this holy place and get an appreciation for the work that was done to give glory to the righteous. And this place is close to my heart because I used to come here in the middle of the night and learn and pray and to be alone with Hashem, because this is where it really starts to happen. You know, it's funny how when we're with ourselves alone, it's easier to be ourselves. And when we're with other people, it gets harder to be ourselves. So it's to God's glory that we have these places to visit, and I hope all of you get a chance to come to Eretz Israel and to visit the holy places and to feel the light of the righteous ignite us and give us the hope and the direction and the future and the purpose and the meaning that we all need. Because when we have that, you know, life just changes completely. So God bless you all. Moedim b'simcha and Chag Sameach.